Yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Fade, and you're listening to Attack of the Beats on IllMuzik.com. Here we are once again. We're back. It's January 2016. It's a new year, and we're going to keep grinding on this, keep doing this show. And as usual, I got 5 beats this week, and we'll get right to it right away. First up, we got IllMuzik Pro with One God, One Church. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was IllMuzik Pro with One God, One Church. All right, so on this one, it's right off the bat, it's a nice beat. I like it because to me it just sounds solid. You know, like everything's pretty good. Everything's in place. It just fits. Okay, so but there's some minor things, like for example the hi-hat. I would bring that down a bit. The snare, I know you got it in stereo or whatever, but and it does sound good, but for this type of beat I could easily see some kind of wrapper on top of this. So with that being said, I mean, I think that then you should ease off the stereo imaging of that snare a bit there, just to make room for the MC or whatever. So I mean, sometimes it works, but you just got to be careful when you're mixing that, right? I mean, you got vocals plus you got the snare in stereo. I mean, they're both kind of on the same, wavelength, if you will. So just be careful of that with the snare, the stereo. And I would like to have heard some breakdowns, a couple breakdowns and stuff, where you have, because you got the drums and the bass all the way through, and they do sound good, but it would have been nice to hear it, like maybe just the drums individually, or just take them out or whatever. And I think the main thing was the pattern. Okay, because you got 2 patterns. You got that first pattern, which is the one I had a problem with, but the second one is fine. Like the main pattern you have, I like that. It sounds good. The first pattern, though, it's hard. I mean, sometimes I have the same problem. Like I'm doing this pattern, it just ends up being a simple pattern and stuff. So it sounds good, but it's one of those patterns where you expect more out of it stuff. So I would just play around with that, try to come up with something a little different. The melody, just a melody that sounds a little different, because it just sounds kind of basic, So I would just fix that. But other than that, I like it. I mean, it sounds good. Everything, like I said, everything just fits. It just sounds good. You got a nice little track there. Maybe ease up on the bass a bit, because it does carry all the way through. But that's about it, man. It's a good job. All right, so next up we've got Huggy HG, the current Warzone beat battle champion, with Speak Easy. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Huggy HG with Speakeasy. All right, so this beat, now, I know with these types of beats, you're going to have a heavy low end and stuff, and that's fine, but with the low end you have, this is the thing, it sounds nice, it's just that, I can hear the distortion, you know, I can hear it. I mean, some of the, because you just got too much in there, I think, for that low end, so it's just too overwhelming or whatever, but the sound of it, actually, I mean, the whole track, I mean, it just sounds really, really good. I mean, I like the way everything transitions from one part to the next. You got some nice patterns and everything. And I think the atmospheric synth there in the beginning, I think that's like, well, all the way through, I think that's like the main thing that's carrying this beat is that synth. It sounds really, really nice. So that's good. But I would have brought the drum track up a bit, okay, because I can barely hear it. So bring that up a bit. And, you know, bring down that lower end. And I think the other thing too is those keys, right? You get those nice keys and stuff, and they sound really good. But honestly, I think all you need to do is just lower that, because the sound of the whole beat, it sounds really good. I think those keys just need to be blended in nicely, like they need to be subtle, basically. So I think you should just do that with the keys. Don't make them so loud, you know. So just make those subtle. Bring up the drums, lower that bass a bit, and just make it, just not necessarily lower it, but just, I don't know if it's the way you recorded it or whatever, but I can hear the distortion, so just check that part. But other than that, though, it's a nice beat, man. I like it. Like I said, it's that synth, man, that atmospheric synth there. That's what really carries this shit. It's some good shit, man. All right, so next up, we've got Lincoln Abraham with What I Do. Let's check it out. All right, all right. Okay, so that was Lincoln Abraham with "What I Do." All right, so this beat, it's another beat. It's heavy on the low end, but this is good. There's no distortion or anything like that. It's solid. Okay, I like the low end. It's actually pretty good. The drum track and the low end and all that stuff. And I think the main problem with this is the horns, those synth horns. And that's the thing, like when you're playing with synths, just last night I was making a beat. I was trying to do this one sample and it just wasn't working, so I decided to use the synths instead, some virtual instruments, and I ended up, actually making a really good beat with just the virtual instruments. But it's not always the case. Sometimes you come up with a track using a VST or whatever, and it's just kind of cheesy. Some of the sounds are not that great. It depends. What you're using, whatever. But the thing is, there's a lot of really good VSTs out there. So in a way, there's not really an excuse. You just got to find the right one. Something that sounds good. So I don't know what you're using. If this is coming from a VST or from internally from a keyboard or whatever, but nonetheless, it's just that sound. Like it's okay, but it sounds like a synth horn. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, I'd rather you have just like a regular sampled horn in there. You know what I mean? So some of these VSTs, that's what they do, right? Most of them, I should say, is that they're using an actual sample of a horn or whatever, and they're putting that into their instrument, and that's what you use. So the one you're using, to me, that's got to go. I think you should just change that out. The pattern's fine or whatever. I think you just need to change out that sound. And that's the case with a lot of people. They have a good beat, it's solid and everything, but then they have certain sounds, like the melody's fine, the pattern's good, it's just the sound itself. So I think in your case, this is what you need to change out. But like I said, the low end, the drums, that's good shit. The keys are nice. I like the way you did that. I like the way you had your little breakdown and stuff. And but besides the horns, it's the snare. That's the thing that really bothered me, because I know that's the style of snare that you're using, whatever, but it's some of those snares, they're very, very high pitched, so it's like it's kind of hard on the ears, especially when you're listening on headphones. It's almost ear piercing, some of them. So that's why just be careful with the snare. You could try layering another snare on top of the one you have, and that would thicken it up or whatever. Just a little bit of thickness to it, because the one you have is, to me, it's just too high pitched. So I would just swap that out. But yeah, other than that, though, I really like the beat. So good shit. All right, so next up we got Lobia with Indifference. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Lobia with Indifference. All right, so this beat, well, it's strange, that's for sure. But the thing is, actually, if as I'm listening to it, it's like, you get that little vocal snippet in the weird low end and stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever. But then when you brought in the drums, it's like it just kind of okay. That's when it went sour for me. But really, I mean, besides the drums, if you just have that vocal snippet and the weird low end part, if you add like some kind of drum track on that, like a breakbeat or whatever, I think that would actually sound pretty decent. It would actually sound pretty good if you did that. So, I mean, I don't know what you're trying to do. Maybe you're just trying to do some experimental stuff. I don't know. But like I said, just with that isolated and add a breakbeat to that, I think that would actually be a pretty good beat. But when you brought in that drum track, that just kind of takes away and from everything, and then you have that bass. That bass was just too much, it was just too heavy. Everything's just it just kind of sounded when you brought in the bass line, it just kind of sounded warped, I guess you could say, or whatever, something like that. But really, I think you should just take the beginning part stuff, add a breakbeat to that, loop that shit, and I think that would be really, really good. So give that a shot. Send it back in. Let's see how it sounds. All right, so next up we got No Nonsense Beats with Mike Tyson. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was No Nonsense Beats with Mike Tyson. All right, so this beat's really, really good. I like this shit. You got everything in place. You got nice drum, nice bass, and all that stuff. I think the that synth that you have pan left, I think that's what really makes the beat for me. I mean, it just sounds really good. It's a nice tone. It just really fits the spot. So, but there was that. It's funny because you get that nice pattern going, and you go up in key. But then you get that last part of it where it just sort of sounds, that one note that you hit, it just kind of sounded out of tune in a way and stuff. Just that last part. But other than that, like the rest sounded really, really good and stuff. So if you were to fix that and just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't want to find, it's not necessarily about finding the right key, but maybe you just take away that key and you just have like an empty spot there. Sometimes that works too. You don't always have to have, that key in the right note or whatever. If you just can't get it, you just can't get it. So just take it out. Maybe extend that second part, the one right behind it or whatever. And the snare, like I said, the drums were good, bass is good, but the snare, even though it's good, honestly, for this type of beat, I would love to hear the snare, like a more smacking snare, maybe even with some reverb on it, just to give it, because right now the beat's good, but if you had that snare with the reverb, I think it would really fill out that space. It would just really, really sound nice. It would just, that reverb would complement the rest going on, like the synth and all that stuff. So, but other than that, like a really good beat. I'm really feeling that shit. Like I said, just fix maybe fix the snare and that note part there. Maybe take it out. I don't know. So, but that's some good shit. All right, so that's it from me. I'm Mr. Fade. This is Attack of the Beats. Keep sending the beats. I'll keep reviewing them. Just go to the upload at the top and send that shit in. All right, so with that being said, my favorite beat this week, the winner is, drum roll please, No Nonsense Beats by Mike Tyson. Let's check it out.